Let's dig into the All-Canadian second-round matchup. It's Oilers, it's Canucks, and there's been obviously a lot of talk about how good this Oilers power play has been, how much they've been able to score in round one. But on the Canucks side, what are the key battlegrounds? What are the areas where if they execute, they'll have an advantage?
Well, structure has been a buzzword since Rick Tocchet took over, and the Canucks showed a lot of it. I mean, they gave up 12 goals in 6 games against the Nashville Predators, but we've all seen Connor McDavid has been shredding structure since he first stepped on NHL ice. So it's a little different. You can talk about your structure and believe in your structure, and in one shift, McDavid can just zip right through the middle of it and do things single-handedly. So the Canucks recognize that. You can try to game plan for Connor McDavid. Obviously, this is a deeper Oiler team than just McDavid and Draisaitl, but I do think the Canucks believe in the way that they play, the system that they play, and the way that they defended in front of 3 different goaltenders. And so, goaltending is going to be a huge storyline at both ends of the ice here. Is Artur Silovs the Cinderella story? Is the clock about to strike midnight? So far, so good for him. And this is a guy that just doesn't look like the moment is too big. He's going to get the start in game 1, and we'll see where it goes from there. I do think the discipline is a huge storyline, and the Canucks talked about it yesterday after practice. They recognize that if they run into penalty problems, you're essentially giving the Oilers goals, and the Canucks can't afford to do that. Although their penalty kill, and Frank saw it, he was there on that series, Canucks penalty kill, to me, was the unsung hero of their first-round win over the Predators. They killed off 20 of 22, and in a series that was razor tight, it still seems to me a little bit mind-boggling that the power plays were 22-13 in favor of the Predators, including 7-2 over the final 2 games. So I think the Canucks want to draw a few more power plays of their own and try and spend time on the power play, which wasn't great against the Predators. But, man, their penalty kill was lights out good, led by 35-year-old Ian Cole, who logged 6 minutes of shorthanded ice time more than anybody else on this hockey club. And that's one of the reasons they went out and got a guy that had the Stanley Cup pedigree and a relationship with Jim Rutherford and Patrick Elvine and Rick Tocchet from their time in Pittsburgh. And I thought that the veteran kind of faded a little down the stretch, but boy, he showed his playoff chops in round number 1 against the Preds.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Cole because to me, the biggest stylistic change that I think we saw in round 1 from the Canucks compared to the regular season, and I don't know if it's due to is there something going on with Quinn Hughes, but it was very clear that what Rick Tocchet wanted to deploy was a healthy dose of size on the back end. It was a lot of Nikita Zadorov, a lot of Carson Soucy and Ian Cole and Tyler Myers. Do you think part of their game plan by design is if they're going to try and wear us down, like, is that just a Predators thing because of their forecheck, or is that something that you would anticipate seeing in round 2 against Edmonton as well?
Well, I am curious about the matchups. Canucks worked hard to win the division and get home ice, so they're going to have the benefit of the last change. And I'm going to be interested to see if Tocchet uses that more than he did in round 1, because it kind of felt like, even though Rick Tocchet and Andrew Brunette are both up as finalists for Coach of the Year, they kind of just allowed the series to flow. There really wasn't a huge chess match between the coaches. Obviously, if you're the Canucks, you have to figure out what matchup you want and how you get it against both McDavid and Draisaitl. And it's not just the forward groups. I think this can change on opening night, but I think JT Miller will likely get McDavid, and they'll keep Lindholm and Dakota Joshua for his size up against Draisaitl. If the Oilers split those two, of course, they can throw them out there as a nuclear option together. But I think for the Canucks, it's more about defending and who do they get out there, and do you try to get Quinn Hughes on the ice against McDavid and defend by spending time up ice and in the offensive zone, or do you use the size and the length of guys like Soucy and Myers? The problem there is Tyler Myers has been prone to a lot of penalties over his career, and certainly the speed of McDavid can cause problems for just about anybody. So, I'm curious to see how much more of a chess match we see between the coaches and the way that Rick Tocchet goes about utilizing home ice advantage, not just a Game 7 if they get there, but obviously the first couple of games on home ice to try to dictate those matchups. But for me, I think discipline is just, again, the numbers don't lie. The Oilers' power play was that good against the LA Kings, who were the second best penalty killing team in the National Hockey League in the regular season. So it wasn't by fluke that the Oilers' power play did what it did. I mean, they went up against one of the best teams in that area of the game and absolutely mauled them. So the Canucks know that they're going to have to play hard, but that fine line of playing hard but not crossing it and taking penalties and giving the Oilers the power play opportunities that they thrive on.
a lot of people outside Vancouver, in the market in Vancouver, have been watching Elias Pettersson's play through these playoffs with a bit of a raised eyebrow. What's going on there? Is there a health issue? Or is this just a guy who is the moment too big for him? Like, which one of those sort of easy to grab headlines are you latching onto with Pettersson?
Yeah, it's baffling. It really is. And we had Trevor Linden on a show out here yesterday. And, here's the former captain of the Canucks, the president of the Vancouver Canucks, who brought Elias Pettersson into the lineup, into the organization through the draft. And, to hear Trevor say, look, this guy just has to get in the fight. Pretty stinging indictment from a guy who's been there and been to a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. But it's just baffling to see a player that put up 102 points a year ago, backed it up with an 89-point season, and it kind of felt like he just ran into a wall at the All-Star break and hasn't been that same player since. 1 goal in his last 19 games, and look, he's not blessed with the most gifted line mates right now. Ilya Mikheyev with his 1 goal in 55 games, and Nils Höglander at 24 in the regular season, but really was a non-factor in that opening round. So, the hope here is that you get a second round and you hit reset and you somehow find your game. But boy, it feels like a reach right now. And I kind of side with Trevor Linden that it starts with just digging in a little bit more. And look, he made a nice play on what led to the only goal of Game 6, the series clincher for the Canucks. He jumps Jeremy Lauzon, a nice read, and gets to the puck in the corner, keeps that play alive, and gets an assist. But the fact that you can sort of point to one play over a 6-game series and say, hey, he made an impact there, they just need a whole lot more. So whether it's 5-on-5, whether it's on the power play, I don't care where it is. He knows it. They know it. And it sort of is the elephant in the room, but the elephant keeps growing by the day here as we close in on start time for game number 1 of this series against the Oilers. They need him. They absolutely need him to be a whole lot better than he's been really over the last couple of months.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.